फिर एक बार आप सबको मेरा नमस्कार। और आज का हमारा टॉपिक है एकदम अलग टॉपिक है। सबके मन में बहुत सवाल उठ रहे होंगे इस टॉपिक के बारे में। तो आज का टॉपिक है व्हाई वी हेल्प अदर्स प्रो सोशल बिहेवियर। हम किसी की भी मदद करने जाते हैं तो उस वक़्त अगर कोई मुसीबत में है तो हम मदद करने जाते हैं, लेकिन उस वक़्त हम ये नहीं सोचते कि हम मदद करने क्यों जा रहे हैं, उसके पीछे क्या रीज़न है। हमें ऐसे लगता है कि हाँ, मुसीबत में है तो हमें मदद करने जाना है। ये क्यों जाते हैं, इसके बारे में हमें आज जानकारी देने वाले हैं अचल देवरुखकर जी। अचल, आपका बहुत-बहुत स्वागत इस कार्यक्रम में।
Thank you so much. I
अचल
really
जी के
appreciate
बारे
it.
में जी, अचल जी आपके बारे में 1-2 लाइनें बोलना चाहूँगी सबके लिए। अचल जी ने शिकागो से इलिनॉय यूनिवर्सिटी से बैचलर इन अप्लाइड साइकोलॉजी एंड रिलिजियस स्टडीज़ में स्टडी कंप्लीट किया है। तो अभी और ज़्यादा आपके बारे में नहीं बोलूँगी मैं अचल जी, क्योंकि आज का टॉपिक इतना इंटरेस्टिंग है कि मुझे खुद को क्यूरियोसिटी है कि क्या ये टॉपिक है। सबसे पहले ये जानना चाहेंगे कि ये टॉपिक क्या है? क्यों हम मदद करने के लिए जाते हैं?
Yes. So, आज का टॉपिक है प्रो सोशल बिहेवियर, राइट? तो प्रो सोशल बिहेवियर मतलब बेसिकली क्या है कि हम एक्चुअली लोगों की मदद क्यों करते हैं नेचर में। हम दूसरे लोगों को कैसे देखते हैं, हाउ वी इंटरैक्ट विद ईच अदर, हाउ वी इंटरैक्ट विद द वर्ल्ड, हाउ अदर्स इंटरैक्ट विद ईच अदर, how we help each other, how this happens in nature. Researchers, this is based on strong research, psychological research, years and years and years of biological research and reasons on why we want and help each other. That is today's topic.
जी। अचल जी, और तो बहुत सवाल आपसे पूछने हैं और एक जानकारी सभी लोगों के लिए। अचल जी भी आपको कुछ सवाल पूछेंगे, जैसे हमारी रोज़मर्रा की ज़िंदगी है, उसमें बहुत बार हम कुछ कर जाते हैं और हम उसके बारे में बाद में सोचते हैं कि ये हमने क्यों किया, या फिर हमने इनकी मदद क्यों की, ये हम सोचते हैं। तो ये हम क्यों सोचते हैं, इसके पीछे क्या साइकोलॉजी है, इस सब के बारे में अचल जी से जानना चाहेंगे। और अचल जी खुद भी आप लोगों से इंटरैक्ट करेंगे। आपके भी कुछ सवाल हो तो आप हैंड रेज़ कर सकते हैं या फिर चैट बॉक्स में आपके क्वेश्चन्स टाइप कर सकते हैं। हिंदी, इंग्लिश में आपके क्वेश्चंस हम लेंगे। तो अचल जी, फिर से एक बार मैं एक सवाल पूछना चाहूँगी कि ये बहुत अलग टॉपिक है और ऐसे होता है कि हर एक की साइकोलॉजी अलग होती है। अगर रास्ते से जा रहे कोई मुसीबत में देखा, तो हमें ऐसे लगता है कभी-कभी कि हेल्प करने जाना है, लेकिन बहुत बार ऐसे होता है कि हम हेल्प करने नहीं जाते, सिर्फ़ सोचते ही
Yes.
रहते, और बहुत बार ऐसे होता है कि हम हेल्प करने चले जाते। ये क्या है? इसके पीछे क्या साइकोलॉजी है?
यही आज मैं उसके बारे में बात करने वाला हूँ.
जी।
So definitely हम इस क्वेश्चन को डेफिनेटली आंसर करेंगे, बट बिफोर दैट आई वांट टू गो इनटू कि व्हाट एग्जैक्टली इज दिस काइंड ऑफ बिहेवियर, उसका थोड़ा सा बेसिक एक्सप्लेनेशन, थोड़े थियरीज उसके बारे में बोलना चाहूंगा. उसके बाद डेफिनेटली आई एम गोइंग टू टॉक अबाउट व्हाट यू हैव आस्क्ड मी, व्हिच इज, अभी के लिए टीजर देता हूँ, इट्स कॉल्ड द बायस्टैंडर इफेक्ट. बायस्टैंडर मतलब बाजू में खड़ा होना और इग्नोर कर देना या फिर नॉट डूइंग एनीथिंग, यू आर द
जी,
बायस्टैंडर.
जी।
तो इसके बारे में डेफिनेटली बात करने वाला हूँ.
हुँ,
सो
हुँ,
लेट अस बिगिन. मैं जरा देख रहा हूँ कौन कौन आया हुआ है अभी.
हुँ।
वैसे थोड़े नेम्स आई रिमेम्बर, थोड़े आई डोंट.
हाँ,
सो ये people who have been in my previous sessions, I hope you remember something or anything. काफी टाइम हुआ है मैंने लास्ट सेशन किए हुए. आई थिंक इट हैज बीन अराउंड a year. Yeah, I think it has been a year since I've done my last session. Last time, I remember we had talked about how we can help in the community, in our community, community psychology, things like that. This time, I'm actually going to talk deep about how we help each other. I am going to be talking mostly in English. I will try to mix in Hindi. थोड़ा सा मराठी आने वाला है randomly. बट मोस्टली आई विल कीप इट टू इंग्लिश, क्योंकि ये थोड़ी जो टर्म्स है दैट इज बेस्ट एक्सप्लेन्ड इन इंग्लिश. अगर किसी को कोई क्वेश्चन है तो हैंड रेज कर सकते हैं या फिर चैट में डाल दीजिए, सो दैट आई कैन नोटिस इट एंड आई कैन री एक्सप्लेन दैट टर्म. अगर किसी को कोई टर्म नहीं समझता है तो प्लीज प्लीज बताइए मुझे. I don't want to move forward without anyone not understanding. Yes?
जी,
Okay. Okay. So, आज का टॉपिक, what is pro-social behavior? So pro-social behavior ये माना जाता है जो भी voluntary behavior, any voluntary behavior which is intended to benefit another, मतलब किसी और की मदद करना, मतलब consist of action which can benefit other people, या फिर किसी पूरी सोसाइटी को मदद करना, just helping, sharing, donating, cooperating एक दूसरे के साथ, and volunteering obviously. And we know that pro social behavior ये चीज एक सोशल ग्रुप के लिए वेलबींग के लिए बहुत बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. एंड सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग इज एम्पैथी. एम्पैथी इज द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्टर that leads to pro-social behavior. And I want to share you my presentation now. Yes. So let's talk about altruism. ये टर्म पढ़ के बहुत अजीब लगता है, डर लगता है. But what is altruism? Altruism is when one person helps another person for no reward, even at cost, even at some cost to oneself. मतलब कोई भी रिवॉर्ड एक्सपेक्ट किए बिना, कोई पैसा नहीं, कोई थैंक यू नहीं, कुछ कुछ भी एक्सपेक्ट किए बिना यू हेल्प समवन एल्स, इसे बोलते हैं altruism. So altruism हम there are many reasons why altruism is noticed and is observed amongst people. So there are many reasons. First is an evolutionary biology reason. तो ये evolution के through एक reason हो सकता है कि हम behavior that benefits other organization but has some cost. तो reproductive fitness के हिसाब से you kind of measure that. There is the kin selection theory जिसके बारे में और डिटेल में बात करने वाला हूँ. And then there is the cognitive psychology explanation. One is the evolutionary biology जो biologically लोग सोचते हैं, and one is a psychological explanation. तो दोनों के बारे में मैं थोड़ा सा एक बात करने वाला हूँ. But before that, yes, so evolutionary explanation is beneficial to the group, not just for the individual to survive. And psychology के हिसाब से altruism is witnessed in all the higher order mammals. Higher order mammals मतलब क्या, जो भी apes है, humans है, या फिर जो भी जो भी ज्यादा थिंकिंग या फिर ज्यादा कॉम्प्लेक्स एक्टिविटीज कर सकते हैं, उन्हें हायर ऑर्डर मैमल्स बोलते हैं. एंड दे अपीयर टू हैव सम कॉन्शियस कॉग्निटिव कंपोनेंट rather than just instinctual nature. मतलब सिर्फ instincts के ऊपर act नहीं करते हैं, but actual thinking, कोई तो thinking है, we can have some sort of a communication with them, you know, that is called a higher order mammal. लोग सोचते हैं maybe dogs, cats, apes, elephants, you know, these dolphins, these are all we think that they have psychological explanation as well. तो evolutionary explanation में क्या आता है कि I'll direct reciprocity, again थोड़ी difficult terms है but explain करूंगा मैं. I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine, right? मतलब मैं आपके लिए कुछ तो करूं, आप मेरे लिए कुछ तो करो. डायरेक्ट, सिंपल, ट्रांजैक्शन है ना, ट्रांजैक्शन होगा. फेशियल कलेक्शन, लेंड मी सम शुगर, आई एम योर नेबर. यार चीनी दे दीजिए, आज चीनी खत्म हो गई है ना. आपके नेबर से कभी कभी तो पूछते ही है, कोई भी पूछता है. रिसेंटली मैंने भी पूछा था, आई थिंक मंथ अगो, मेरे घर पे सॉल्ट खत्म हो गया तो बाजू में पूछना पड़ा. किन सिलेक्शन थ्योरी जिसके बारे में मैं जाने वाला हूँ. इनडायरेक्ट रेसिप्रोसिटी, कि मैं आपकी मदद करूंगा एंड कोई और मदद कर देगा मेरी. यू डोंट हैव टू हेल्प मी डायरेक्टली. ट्रांजैक्शन हम दूसरों की, दोनों के बीच में नहीं है, मैं आपकी मदद कर दूंगा, कोई और मेरी मदद करेगा. एंड ग्रुप सिलेक्शन, दैट मीन्स देयर इज नो आई इन ग्रुप, की ये इट्स अ मोर कलेक्टिव. हम एक ग्रुप है, हम ह्यूमैनिटी है, हमारा सोसाइटी है, हमारा सराउंडिंग्स है, हमारा एनवायरमेंट है. So मैं अकेला नहीं हूँ. I am not going to just help myself. I will help the group. But सबसे ज्यादा important चीज है understanding what is empathy. ये जो बड़ा सा यहाँ पे शब्द है एम्पैथी क्या है. लोगों ने सिंपैथी काफी सुनी होगी, है ना, सिंपैथी काफी सुनी होगी कि हाँ मैं सिंपैथाइज करता हूँ, मुझे सिंपैथी है. बट व्हाट इज एम्पैथी, राइट? एम्पैथी इज डिफरेंट इन द सेंस देन सिंपैथी. इज दैट सिंपैथी मतलब you step into that person's shoes and you completely understand what the other person is feeling. I sympathize with you मतलब तुम आप भी वही experience के through गए हो, so you are feeling what that person is feeling. Empathy is understanding what that person is feeling. Rather than आप उनके shoes में step कर रहे हो, you are trying to just understand what they are feeling and just help them sympathize, not sympathize with them, but connect with them. So there are four main elements of empathy. See their world, मतलब उनके दुनिया में जाके आप देखते हो क्या है. You appreciate them as human beings. That is no judgment. आप एक उनकी feelings understanding, उनकी feelings को understand करने की कोशिश करते हो, and you communicate that कि हाँ I understand you. This is what I'm feeling. Is this what you feel? Right? And so उसके ये एक basic idea है what empathy is. I just have a question. अगर ये कोई भी टर्म में आपको अगर कोई क्वेश्चन है तो अभी बोल दीजिए, बिकॉज ये टर्म्स आर गोइंग टू बी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. यस, मैं इसको बार बार रेफरेंस करने वाला हूँ. अगर किसी को क्वेश्चन है तो प्लीज आस्क नाउ, अदरवाइज आई विल कंटिन्यू.
मुझे लगता है शायद ये बेसिक सबको समझ में आ गया है, तो हम कंटिन्यू
Yes,
करते हैं.
yes, yes,
जी.
yes, definitely. So next I want to talk about the kin selection. Kin selection theory क्या होती है, राइट? जो हमने बायोलॉजिकल एक्सप्लेनेशन में बात की थी. kin selection मतलब it's the evolutionary persistence of altruism. कि एक दूसरे को when animals risk itself to help relatives survive. तो अगर मैं I am living here and मेरा कोई भी relative trouble में है, so I am going to try to help them, right? Or if someone is in trouble, I'm going to try to help them. Since they are related, all these animals are related, some of that animal's gene get passed on. So that the reason why we help each other, one of the reasons why we help each other, this is the theory, is that our genes will get passed on even if we die or if something happens to us. So that is why we help each other. Rather than just कोई psychological reason, it is a simple biological drive. Simple biological drive है कि you need to help each other so that some part of you or some part of humanity gets passed on. This is not just noticed in humans, this is noticed in many other higher order animals, which is why आप देखोगे ये image, there is monkeys helping other monkeys. There is no real reason. If you think about it, there is no real reason for a monkey to help another monkey. But why do they help another? So that even if something happens to them, there will be someone else that can pass on their genes. Survival, that is. In selection theory के strengths क्या है, limitations क्या है? So obviously you understand कि इसके ऊपर थोड़े limitations होंगे ही. Strengths, हमें बहुत सारा research है. We have a lot of research, we have a lot of real world examples of animals and humans, and mathematically it supports, ये theory support होती है. Limitations क्या है? Does not explain why people help people who are not related to themselves. अगर हमारा relation नहीं है, real relation नहीं है, तो why should I help you? ये theory does not explain that. Also, major thing is कि लोग सोचते हैं कि सिर्फ खून से you are tied. There are people who are not tied with blood. There are adopted children sometimes. There are adopted relatives. There are communities, right? So you do not. It's not just blood. It's not just the gene that is a similar thing. Your community also ties you together. and does not address why cooperation continues when it offers little advantage. Why would we continue with the cooperation? कोई advantage नहीं है तो भी फिर क्यों करते हैं लोग मदद एक दूसरे की? ये तो advantage हुआ ना कि कोई मेरा पास होएगा, मेरा जीन पास हो जाएगा at least. Even if I'm not there, someone else can help, right? So उसके ऊपर आता है second theory, the empathy altruism theory, made by Batson and his colleagues, research by Batson and his colleagues. Empathy altruism ये होता है psychological reason. So by feeling empathy for another person, it is possible for real altruistic behavior to occur. When we see a bad situation, कोई बुरा situation देखते हैं हम, we feel some personal distress हमें feel होता है, हमें थोड़ा anxiety आएगा, थोड़ा fear आएगा. Also, we will feel concern for someone else. थोड़ी sympathy, compassion we'll feel for someone else. Why do people help, right? So आप chart देखोगे तो 1, you notice, observe someone in need of help. Then do you feel empathy for this person? No. Okay, you don't feel empathy for someone. You will only help if it is your self-interest to help. मतलब आपके self interest में है तो you will help someone. किसी को कोई पैसे चाहिए, someone is asking for money, कोई भिखारी आया, they are asking for money, you give them. That is if reward outweigh costs. मतलब यहाँ पे देखिए कि if you notice, ये जो पैसे दे रहा है उसके पीछे there are some people, oh they notice, अच्छा उसने पैसे दिए, वाह 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 वाह, बहुत अच्छा, very nice person, yeah. तो उसके ऊपर हमें reward मिल रहा है. There is a cost कि हमारा पैसा जा रहा है, but there is a reward, social reward. Social reward. So if you don't feel empathy for someone, so you will only work in your own self-interest. If you feel empathy for someone, you will help regardless if it's in your self-interest. That is, even if costs outweigh rewards. So यहाँ पे बोल रही है, please come stay at my house tonight, then we'll find you a place to live. Yeah. The hypothesis is that the egoist thinks, जो जिसके पास ज्यादा ईगो है वो सोचता है, yuck, he is hideous and make me feel bad, I should help him to make me feel better. उसको देख के मुझे बुरा लग रहा है, so I should help him so that I feel better. जो ट्रू अल्ट्रुइस्ट, जो ट्रूली एक दूसरे की मदद करना चाहता है, जिसको एम्पैथी फील होती है, he must feel awful, poor man, I've got to help him so that he feels better. So उसका एक मेजर डिफरेंस है कि I should help someone to help make me feel better, that is relieve my fear, relieve my anxiety, relieve my disgust, or to make sure that someone else feels better because you want them to feel better, you connect with them, you empathize with them. So there are three factors. There are three factors that help in that facilitate perspective taking. So how ये empathy altruism theory, how does it really connect to people, right? The observer has had similar experiences. मतलब आप देखोगे किसी के पास घर नहीं है, किसी के पास पैसे नहीं है, किसी के पास खाने के लिए कुछ नहीं है, तो आपको अगर वो similar experience feel हुआ है, then you will also connect with them. You will immediately connect with that person कि हाँ, I also felt this way. Second is if the observer is attached to the victim, मतलब कोई victim है, you feel attached to them at some level, then definitely you will also help them. You will empathize with them. And if the most important thing is that someone explains to you, कोई आपको बताता है कि this is what it is to be in this person's position. इनके shoes में चलना है तो आप it doesn't mean that you always have to experience कि किसी को भूख लगी है and they can't pay for their own food, does not mean that you have to understand that situation, you have to go through that situation. इसकी जरूरत नहीं है. If someone else explains that to you, that is also very important because हमें समझता है. If someone explains something to you, you will understand that obviously. तो सबसे एम्पैथी अल्ट्रुइज्म थियरी के स्ट्रेंथ्स क्या है, राइट? एक्सपेरिमेंटल स्टडीज में रिसर्च से हमें समझ में आया दिस डिफेंड्स द थियरी, राइट? and the theory can predict how likely someone is to help one another. But problem क्या है कि limitations क्या है कि altruism goal है कि negative feelings रोकना goal है, right? So we talked about how negative feelings आ सकते हैं लोगों के कि fear, anxiety, disgust. We don't want to feel that, so we'll help them. Is that the real reason, or is altruism the real reason? And empathy does not always predict altruism. So I feel empathized agar if I am in my car and some beggar comes to me and asks for some money, I empathize with them, I empathize with the situation, but that does not mean necessarily that I will always give them money. So agar let us contrast the theories, मैं ज़्यादा इसमें deep नहीं जाऊंगा because you can read slides, right? Kin selection theory and empathy altruism theory. So kin selection में focuses on genes that operate beyond human consciousness. It's based on observation. Empathy altruism theory में the focus is on emotion and empathy as the motivation for helping.
प्लीज आप म्यूट कर देंगी ताकि हमारा डिस्कशन अच्छे से शुरू रहे। अचल जी, आप कंटिन्यू कीजिए।
Yes. So kin selection theory is based on egoism, and empathy theory is based on altruism, existing altruism. Kin selection explains, this theory explains कि हम अपने लोगों को क्यों मदद करते हैं, why we help our own kin, our own relatives, or our own people who are connected in our circle. This theory does not explain why we help non-relatives. So the non-relatives है, so empathy altruism theory comes in कि non-relatives है, so okay, why we help each other because we feel empathy, right? And testing the theory is very difficult for kin selection theory क्योंकि evolutionary process के ऊपर based है. So evolutionary process मतलब thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Humans were first emerged, जो current day humans है, first emerged around 6 million years ago. 6 million years ago से ये almost evolutionary process चालू है. Maybe उसके पहले से भी ये evolutionary process चालू है. So you can't really research that process क्योंकि इतने साल पहले का research you don't have the data. And for empathy altruism, it is very easy to test the theory in lab conditions. But problem है ये real world में experience करना बहुत difficult है. Real world में ये test करना difficult होता है. यहाँ तक किसी को कोई questions है? Any questions?
आपके मन में अगर कुछ क्वेश्चन है तो हैंड रेज कीजिए या फिर चैट बॉक्स में आप दे सकते हो। अचल जी, फिर आपके अगर कुछ कंसेप्ट क्लियर नहीं हुए हैं तो वो फिर से एक्सप्लेन करेंगे।
Yes.
अच्छा जी, मुझे लगता है आप कंटिन्यू कीजिए, अगर किसी के क्वेश्चंस आते हैं तो फिर विल आंसर फॉर।
डेफिनेटली, क्योंकि ये दो थियरीज है, ये these theories जो current day psychologists है या फिर current day researchers है, they think that these are the two theories that really drive why we help each other. But ये why is it important to know this really, right? है ना? Why is it really important to know this thing? I will get to that, but first I want to kind of talk about what are the differences, what are the environmental factors that can help pro-social behavior. तो मैंने जो आपको मैसेज आया होगा उसमें आपने देखा होगा there are gender differences, cultural differences, religious differences on why these behaviors can happen. Consider two scenarios, right? In one, someone performs a dramatic, heroic act like storming the cockpit of the United Flight 93 to fight the terrorists, right? आपका plane hijack हुआ है, and then someone tries to fight back on those terrorists and take back the control of the plane. And another situation, someone is involved in long-term helping relationship. मतलब कोई such as assisting a disabled neighbor with chores around the house. मतलब कोई wheelchair में है, आपका neighbor है जो wheelchair में है, उनको कोई आप मदद कर देते हो. But it's more long term. Are men or women more likely to help in each situation? So this is a very this is a very big gender difference that you notice. Are men or women more likely to help in which situation? Research states, we have proper research for this, that in the first scenario where someone is storming the flight and taking back control, males are more likely to help. In scenario 2, which is helping someone long term, females are more likely to help. ये एक gender difference है that we notice, and we have replicated constantly. We have done these things in research in labs, and we have found that this is a very major kind of a difference in terms of gender in how we help each other. There are also cultural differences. The people in all cultures are more likely to help anyone they define as a member of their in-group rather than they perceive an out-group. So what is in-group? In-group matlab ki if I am in this group, I identify as a member. So agar in-groups can mean things like आपका society, आपके आजू-बाजू की society. आपके अगर मैं मुंबई में रहता हूँ, I connect with Mumbaikars. थाने में रहता हूँ, थानेकर्स. पुणे में रहता हूँ, पुणेकर्स. Right? हम एक बात करते हैं. या फिर if you are Marathi, you're Gujarati, you're Bengali, you connect to your group in which you whatever you are identifying as a member. That is your in group. Your out group is any group which you don't identify with as a member. That is, agar I identify as an Indian, that means that I don't identify as a United States citizen, like an American. So I won't really, that is my out group. That is someone I do not identify with. I'm not an American, I am an Indian. So a particular cultural value that strongly relates to pro-social behavior is sympathia. Prominent in Spanish-speaking countries, जहाँ पे भी Spanish बोलते हैं, sympathia refers to a range of social and emotional traits, which includes being friendly, polite, good-natured, pleasant, helpful to each other. Right? So ये एक strong culture है जो हम इंडिया में भी experience करते हैं. Or if you think about it in terms of different countries or different cultures, how does this culture affect us? If I live in America right now. I live in Chicago, Illinois. I have lived in Mumbai for most of my life, Thane and Mumbai for most of my life. So there is a lot of cultural difference that you notice once you really move to a country that you are not a tourist in. You'll notice that a lot of people will act very differently. So India में, Mumbai में, no one really talks to each other. ऐसा कोई रास्ते पे चल रहा है तो ऐसे बात नहीं करते हैं कोई. But America में you'll notice कि आप चल रहे हो, so people will say hi, hello, how are you doing? It's very common. Like लोग just पूछेंगे, just randomly पूछेंगे, या फिर randomly आपको compliment मिलेगा. Oh, your dress looks really nice today. You look really cool today. Your shoes are nice. Your hair looks nice. And you'll notice it very commonly. It's like you'll walk on the road and कोई आपको compliment करेगा. आपको अगर कोई, if someone is really complimenting you in Mumbai, it feels like, what do you want from me? Like, why are you complimenting me? क्या है ये? थोड़ा अजीब है क्या? What is this? So there is that very big cultural difference in that. यहाँ पे culture value difference है. But if you notice in Mumbai, हम एक दूसरे से बात नहीं करेंगे, but मदद करने आती है तो सब लोग आ जाते हैं. But in that case, America is more individualistic and they will be kind and polite, but they won't really come forward to immediately help us. So वो एक cultural difference हुआ behavior में. So that is also a difference that we notice, we have seen, and we see religious differences. Religious people are more helpful. There is no doubt about it. Religious people are very helpful क्योंकि उनकी spiritual belief होती है, उनकी faith होती है जिसमें बोलते हैं कि लोगों की मदद करो. but it is majorly also noticed that religious people are more helpful, but only if the person is in their group. If मतलब अगर मैं हिंदू हूँ, so I will try to help other Hindus. If अगर मैं Christian हूँ, so I will try to help other Christians. You will try to help your own community, your own in group. If person belongs to out group, they may not help. There is also evidence that out group members के लिए increased hostility होती है. That there is more violence, there is more animosity कि आप एक दूसरे को you won't like them. There is more hostility. You don't really want to engage with them if they are an out group member, and this is noticed in religious people. This is a sad truth that it is noticed in religious people. Not just that, but there is also mood. आपका mood है तो आप मदद करोगे, right? Being in a good mood can increase helping for three reasons. Good mood make us look on the bright side of life. आप अच्छे मूड में हो तो आप दूसरों की मदद भी करोगे, क्यों? क्योंकि you feel nice. हाँ, सब अच्छा है, आज अच्छा दिन है, हाँ मैं इसकी मदद कर देता हूँ, एंड दूसरों की मदद करोगे तो आपका मूड भी अच्छा होगा, और गुड मूड है तो और कंटिन्यू होगा. एंड गुड मूड improves your self attention. आप अपने आप को you notice yourself, you notice what you are doing since you are in a good mood. You notice things that you're doing. That means if you want to help others, you will try to do that. The effects of positive mood is you feel good, you do good, right? 84% of people who found coins, researchers left in the mall payphone slots. Payphone याद है? अभी भी दिखते हैं कहाँ पे payphones? STD, ISD. तो वहां पे जो कॉइन्स डाल के जो payphones होते हैं, अगर they found researchers kept some coins in those payphones, helped a man pick up papers in one study, and only 4% of those who did not find coins helped. So इसका मतलब क्या है कि someone left coins and उसके बाद उन्हें मिला, oh someone left coins in the payphone, okay, now you feel good. अच्छा हाँ, free I didn't have to pay money to make a call, I found a coin, why not? Those people, 84% of those people were found to help someone else. अगर किसी के papers गिर गए या फिर trip हुए, they found that someone else would help them. Those people would help them. And only 4% of those who did not find coins helped. So that means 84 plus 4. How much is that? 88%. 88% of people helped. 4% को coins नहीं मिला. They didn't have any real reason. They didn't have any real reason to feel good, but they still helped someone else. That means there is only 12% of people who did not help someone who was in trouble. That when people are in a good mood, they are more helpful in a variety of ways. It doesn't mean कि मुझे coin मिला तो मैं आप किसी और को पैसे दूंगा, right? कोई भी way हो सकता है, you can help someone else. But negative state relief, तो ये positive हुआ. So what is negative state relief? Feel bad, do good, right? Since feeling happy leads to greater helping, it seems that sadness would decrease it. Logical hai, right? We have research says, everything says, you feel happy, you help more. But sadness से भी actually increase होता है. Surprisingly, sadness can also lead to an increase in helping in certain conditions. Not in every condition, but in certain conditions. When sad, people are motivated to do things that make them feel better. To the extent that helping is rewarding, it can lift us. So मतलब आपको if you are feeling sad, you do something for someone else, you feel nicer, you feel good, right? You feel bad, but you are still doing good. Because you are feeling bad, you are doing good, so that you feel good. And since when you feel good, obviously, you are happy. Then there is environment. ये एक बहुत आपने सुवर्णा जी ये क्वेश्चन पूछा था, मैं आपको उसमें जा रहा हूँ थोड़ा कि एनवायरनमेंट क्या है. this is a very common thing that we notice कि जैसे आपने पूछा था कि अगर why we don't help someone else if someone is on the street, why do we not help each other? So there is a very very big environmental factor in this. That is, if you live in a rural environment versus you live in an urban environment. You live in a small community, you live in a small town versus you live in a big city. And there is a hypothesis, the urban overload hypothesis, the theory that people living in cities are constantly being bombarded with stimulation and that they keep to themselves to avoid being overwhelmed by it. Right? So that means कि आप अगर city में रहते हो, आप एक urban environment में रहते हो, so आपको constantly stimulation मिल रहा है. There is a car going, loud honking, smoke, people are playing music, there is walking around, train जा रही है. There is so much happening constantly. Urban environment, there is so much happening that you are overstimulated. आप हर जगह से बहुत सारी चीजें हो रही है. So to avoid that, you try to keep to yourself कि हाँ मैं ठीक हूँ. You won't try to interact with other people as much, right? So according to urban overload hypothesis, if you put urban dwellers, मतलब आप बस urban environment में रहते हो and आपको अगर एक calm, less stimulating environment में रखा, then you would also be as likely to help anyone else. So if you are overstimulated, suddenly you go on a trip maybe to say a farmhouse, or you go into nature, you go on a hiking trip. If you go there, your overload has been reduced, and that means you will be likely to help other people. You will be likely to reach out to others. So लोग बोलते हैं ना कि छोटे शहर में लोग ज्यादा मदद करते हैं, बड़े शहर में सब लोग एक दूसरे को इग्नोर करते हैं. So this theory tries to kind of explain that happening, that situation. And research has supported the urban overload hypothesis more than the idea that living in cities makes people less altruistic by nature. कि आप सिटी में रहते हो तो आप ज्यादा रूड हो या फिर you don't help each other. That is not the case. The case is that humans get overloaded because there is so much things happening constantly. A review of dozens of studies found that when an opportunity arises, it matters more whether the incident occurs in a rural or urban area than where the witnesses grew up. मतलब आपकी upbringing does not matter as much as where your environment is, what situation are you in. अगर आप एक urban environment में हो, you are less likely to help others. If you're in a rural environment, you are more likely to help others, and that is constantly been found. But that also means that living in one place for a long time can lead to greater attachment. If you remember, you connect to your community. That means that you will help out your community. Down that becomes your in-group. Even if you're in an urban environment, say if you have your in-group, you are more likely to help them. तो ये बहुत contradicting theories लग रहे हैं, right? कि ये एक होता है आप urban situation में आप मदद नहीं करोगे, but आप तो in-group है तो आप मदद करोगे. बहुत सारे conditions है इसमें. But this is the reality of how we help each other and why we would help each other, right? If you live for someone in a long time, मैं अगर if I live in my society, my complex for a long time, then I would be connected to the people in that complex. I would be connected to the people in the community. You have more dependence on your neighbors, and you have more concern with one's reputation. कि आप वो community में रहते तो आपको you want to maintain a certain kind of reputation if you live there. And if you have lived in one place for longer, then you are more likely to engage in behavior that will help the society, help the community around you. You will try to help each other. This is pretty much observed. Now I want to talk about something serious. The case of Kitty Genovese in 1964. This is a very serious topic. She was stabbed and raped in Queens, New York, in her own neighborhood. उसके खुद के environment में, उसके खुद के in group, she would have expected that people help, but in her own neighborhood, she was stabbed and raped. Despite her repeated screams her estimated 38 neighbors did nothing to intervene until after her death. आजू बाजू में 38 लोग थे. Constant screams which people could hear, but no one came to help. It was a highly publicized case. काफी लोगों को ये मालूम है. If you live in America, it was a very big case at the time that drove psychologists to study what motivates altruism. इसके बाद काफी सारा research आया on why don't people help each other, why do people help each other, and the bystander effect. What is the bystander effect? Bystander effect means that if there are a lot of bystanders, if there are a lot of people who are observing an emergency, if there are too many people who observe an emergency, there's a lot of people, then any one of them is less likely to help. That means if I am in trouble, there are 40 people around me. 40 people around me, they're less likely to help. Someone will think, oh, I don't, someone else can help them. It's fine, because there's more people. This was research in 1970 by two social psychologists, Bibb Latan and John Darley, who taught at universities in New York at the time of Kitty Genovese's prolonged murder, when 38 witnesses failed to call police. The bystander effect, what is it? When there is an emergency, the more bystanders there are, the less likely it is that any of them will help. जितने ज्यादा लोग उतनी less probability कि मैं मदद करूंगा. In problem situations, the average person only helps 20% of the time when others are around. This is from research at the University of Minnesota on the bystander effect. You notice this chart. If you are alone, you are 80% likely to help someone else. There is no one around you. But if there is someone else around you, you think कोई और मदद कर देगा. It's fine. I don't need to help. Someone else will help. If there is a beggar on the street, it's fine. Someone else will give them money. I don't need to give them money. Okay. But if you're alone, you will feel more likely to help them. If someone comes up to you, you will feel more likely to help them. If someone is in trouble, you will feel more likely to help them if you're alone. So, my question is, what would you do? Right? So, ये सब questions ये सब मैंने बात किया है. But these are all theories. What would you do? What would you do in this situation? That's what I want to really know now. मुझे आपसे जानना है कि आप अगर कोई सिचुएशन में हो तो आप क्या करोगे. आपने notice some behaviors in your own life कि आपने अब तक ये सब क्या किया है. Do you notice anything that you have experienced in your own life? And if so, please, I want to take this opportunity. Please share. You can put it in chat. You can unmute. You can ask me directly. Either ways.
चैट बॉक्स में भी एक क्वेश्चन है अचल जी आपके लिए. When we help it is many a times people take it granted.
Yes.
तो ये भी एक साइकोलॉजी है.
Yes, definitely, understandable. But my question is that even if you have helped someone, if you are expecting anything out of it, then you will feel disappointed. If you're not really expecting anything out of it, you will not feel disappointed. So that comes into that empathy, that comes into that altruism, right? अगर आप expect कर रहे हो तो हाँ, definitely you will feel that कि या मुझे ये granted ले रहा है, ये इसको really appreciation नहीं है कि मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ उसके लिए. But if it is coming from a place where you're not really expecting something, then yes, you will feel okay, that's fine, they take it for granted. मैंने अपना काम किया तो whatever their thing is, it's on them now. I helped them, that's fine with me, मैं खुश हूँ, right? You're not really worried. So obviously that's a very different factor. If you do feel कि हाँ कोई granted ले रहा है, someone is taking constant advantage of you and you are helping them, that is a very different situation than than helping someone. That is where someone is constantly taking advantage of you. In some situations they can probably even be manipulating you. That is not a altruistic situation. That is a predatory situation. If someone is taking advantage of you, so बहुत अलग situation है. So I don't think that it matters with altruism. But if you do feel like that, then yes, that can happen. I understand where their feelings are coming from, but I don't think it should matter that much when you're helping someone else.
In
Any
short,
other
कर्म कर,
question?
फल की चिंता मत कर.
Yes. Definitely. Very good quote.
So मुझे लगता है क्वेश्चंस नहीं आ रहे हैं किसी के.
Yes. But I still want to know, what would people do? What would someone else do? रमाकांत जी, आप भी हो कॉल पे. अक्षरा, डॉक्टर अक्षरा है कॉल पे. I see all these people जो they have been with us for a long time. They have been to many of our sessions. If
जी, अगर
someone
किसी
wants
के
to talk,
सवाल है तो प्लीज चैट बॉक्स में दीजिए
yes,
या फिर डायरेक्टली यू कैन आस्क.
yes. और मेरा सवाल भी आंसर कीजिए कि what would you do? कि आप क्या करोगे?
अच्छा, कौन
Anyone?
पहले आंसर करना चाहता है? सब सोच रहे कि कोई और पहले जवाब दे दे. ये भी एक साइकोलॉजी लग रही है.
Bystander effect. ज्यादा लोग है ना, कोई और बोल देगा.
हाँ.
Yes. How psychologically it is related? What is related, Rupali ji? आपका क्वेश्चन थोड़ा समझ में नहीं आया एग्जैक्टली. आप क्या एग्जैक्टली पूछना चाहते हो? यू कैन अनम्यूट एंड आस्क इफ यू वांट, या फिर चैट में थोड़ा और. अल्ट्रुइज्म, ओके. How psychologically it is related? So as I explained before, in psychology the main theory that we go for is the empathy altruism. कि आप किसी के साथ empathy, आप connection feel करते हो, you feel for them. That is how it is majorly related psychologically. And of course, as I explained all the reasons, कि आपके cultural difference हो सकते हैं, आपको culturally ये feel होता है, आपका religion आपको बताता है, आपका in group है. So if you're in that group, you feel connected. That is a psychological reason, right? Psychology does not just mean ki, what you would do, but what everyone does together. Psychology is not just individual; it is their community. Belief matters,
One
and
more
that
question.
whatever may be situation, that person will extend help. It shows you are responsible. Yes. So again, this is a very cultural thing. It shows you are responsible. ये आपके culture में आता है. You if you help other people, you are more responsible. It's a very cultural value. It's a value that you are given or your community shares. So obviously there are other values. There are other reasons why people would help each other. Other values can cause other things. मेरा faith मुझे बताता है कि मुझे मदद करनी चाहिए. Very common reason that people say, right? But yeah, the main psychological reasons are that you want to feel good, you want to feel positive about yourself, or you're feeling negative and you want to feel positive, right? So majorly हम देखते हैं कि people want to feel nice, they want to feel good, and that is why there is people, we help each other. Mostly we perform altruism. Belief matters more than the event. So whatever may be situation, that person will extend help. Definitely. That is also, again, belief is also a value. एक value है जिसमें आप मदद करोगे या फिर नहीं मदद करोगे. Right? These are very good things. Absolutely.
So मृणाल माया जी, पूछिए आप questions. अर्चना फडनीस.
Questions भी पूछिए और मेरा question भी answer कीजिए. What would you do? अगर आप एक situation में हो जिसको मदद चाहिए, कोई random person है, any random person, ओके, एक स्पेसिफिक सिचुएशन पूछता हूँ मैं। अगर आप एक सुपरमार्केट में हो, यू आर इन अ सुपरमार्केट एंड आप देखते हो कोई पेरेंट कोई बच्चे को दे आर हिटिंग देम, दे आर हिटिंग देयर चाइल्ड इन द सुपरमार्केट, क्योंकि वो मिसबिहेव कर रहा है, whatever may be the reason they are misbehaving anything, but they are discipline कर रहे हैं वो अपने बच्चे को. Would you intervene and would you stop them if it's happening in a supermarket?
सर मृणाल बोल रही हूँ. आई डोंट थिंक आई वुड बिकॉज मेरा पैटर्न ऐसा है, कुछ मैंने खुद ऑब्जर्व किया है कि इफ somebody needs help with a crisis kind of thing, like कि for example somebody needs food or somebody is very tired or something and they need their baggage थोड़ा उठा लो, and वो से one on one situations में तो वैसे मैं ज़्यादा हेल्प कर पाती हूँ. बट लाइक जैसे आपने बोला कि पेरेंट्स अपने बच्चे को बुली कर रहे हैं या फिर कोई किसी को भी बुली कर रहा है, there's like more people in that situation. So ऐसे इसमें मैं शायद हेल्प नहीं कर पाती. there's an anxiety कि जैसे आपने बोला कि स्पॉटलाइट में आ जाएंगे. So I think my honest answer would be कि मैं इस सिचुएशन में हेल्प नहीं कर पाऊंगी.
Yes, so that's fine, that's completely understandable.
I agree with her. मैं भी उसको एग्री करती हूँ. एक तो बच्चे को मारने के रीजंस पता होने चाहिए. अगर वो गलत तरीके के हर्ट कर रहा है तो इट्स पेरेंट्स राइट. I mean, parents knows better that's what I think about their children. Unknowingly, we can't interfere there and make a show, no? So
Yes.
I agree totally with her. And in the same way, what she says that I can help to lift some baggage and all that. But can't interfere between parent and child.
Absolutely. I completely understand it. It's the reality of the situation. You won't really know what the reason behind this is, right? What has happened? What is the situation that
अगर एक्सीडेंट होता है, कोई लड़की बाइक से गिर जाती है वगैरह, तो उसको जाके उठाते हैं, बाइक दे देते हैं, पानी वगैरह पूछते हैं. That we do normally. और उसमें ऐसा भी नहीं लगता कि हम कुछ कर रहे हैं. I mean, it is normal. It's very normal.
Yes, absolutely, it is pretty normal. And काफी मैंने इंडिया में नहीं, but I have seen it specifically in Mumbai कि लोग मदद कर देंगे आजू बाजू, they will pick them up, उनको बाजू में लेके जाएंगे. ये काफी नोटिस किया मैंने definitely. Supermarket के situation में I just wanted to comment one more thing before I move on to another thing that I want to talk about is that
अच्छा जी, इसी बारे में मेरा एक सवाल है. जैसे अभी सबने कहा कि पेरेंट्स है, किड्स है, तो इंटरफेयर नहीं करना चाहिए. लेकिन मुझे ऐसा लगता है उस वक्त वो चाइल्ड साइकोलॉजी के बारे में भी सोचना चाहिए, क्योंकि हम अगर किसी बच्चे को सुपरमार्केट में मार रहे हैं या फिर उसे डांट रहे हैं, तो वो भी सोच रहा होगा कि 4 लोगों के बीच मुझे डांटा जा रहा है या फिर मेरे पेरेंट्स मुझे मार रहे हैं. तो उस वक्त उसका ईगो भी कुछ रहता है, तो उसके बारे में भी सोच के हम इंटरफेयर कर सकते हैं. उन्हें बोल सकते हैं कि आप यहाँ पे मत डांटो या फिर यहाँ पे मत मारो, यहाँ प्यार से समझा दो, घर जाके डांटो. ये भी चाइल्ड साइकोलॉजी के बारे में भी सोचना चाहिए.
Yes, absolutely. That is a very good point that you have brought up. लोगों का obviously this is a question that is very difficult to answer क्योंकि काफी लोगों के different opinions है, different values है, तो ये थोड़ा difficult question है to answer. There are many opinions on it. अगर आपको इसके बारे में पढ़ना है तो I will send you a link in the chat. I'm putting it in right now. But if you are interested, you can read more about this kind of a situation. But yes, there are psychological reasons why you would not want to. अगर कोई बच्चा है तो you won't want to do it in public. And there is also research coming that shows that discipline is very different, and explaining to a child why they did something wrong versus that you did something wrong, but the child doesn't understand what is wrong about it, right? You need to explain that to them. That is also very that is a very child psychological reason that you should explain that to them so that they understand their growth patterns are not affected. वो 10 साल बाद सोचेंगे नहीं कि मेरी माँ मुझे मारती थी सुपरमार्केट में, so I won't talk to her now. So there are many reasons, there are many things that you can or shouldn't do, but obviously there are things that a parent would also know that we can't really interfere with. But a situation where anyone should interfere, no matter what, if it's supermarket में वो मार रही है, they should interfere if it is very visible कि वो harshly मारी है, there is some abuse going on there, that it is not just discipline, it is abuse. Where someone is hurting someone, that वो बच्चे को hurt कर रहे हैं, actually hurt कर रहे हैं, that is when you should definitely interfere in that situation. But in real life, it is very common that people will ignore. Bystander effect comes into effect. कि you know कोई और मदद कर देगा, और it is not my, this is not my this is not my problem, it's not my problem, I just want to shop and go home, it's not my problem, I don't want to deal with this. It's a very common thing. But I think अर्चना जी ने बोला था कि या अगर कोई बाइक पे है, so you know अगर वो गिर जाते हैं तो you would help them. इसके ऊपर I also want to talk. There is a video that I would like to show everyone, but in this video there is a car accident that happened. Someone is hit by a car. So I want to make sure that people will be okay with watching that video. There is no blood that is shown, but because it's a CCTV camera, but we do notice that someone is hurt. If everyone is okay with it, I will show the video. I understand that everyone cannot be okay with that kind of a graphic situation. So please let me know. If you are okay with it, I will show the video. If not, then I will just talk about it.
Yeah, please show.
Okay. One yes. Any more? I want people in chat and mute या फिर unmute करके बोलिए, because this is I need consent for this. This is very important because not everyone is okay with it. If you are not okay with it, please let me know right now. Okay, one more okay आया है. Thumbs up. Let's see, thumbs up. Okay. Okay. If you are not okay with it, tell me, unmute, or you can also, if you don't want to message in the chat, you can also private message. That is also fine. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I have acquired consent. I am going to show you this video. Let me first talk about it a little bit. So this was a big deal as well. Hartford man, a man in Hartford, was hit by a car and no one helped. It is a silent clip. So in this silent clip, an elderly man gets hit by a car as he is crossing the street. Although there are many passers-by in cars and on foot, no one rushes to his aid. कोई भी मदद करने के लिए आता नहीं है. Elderly man crossing the street got hit by a car, but no one in car or on foot comes to help. एक crowd gather होता है sidewalk में. There is a crowd that gathers. There are many cars that go by. And after only 1 full minute, एक पूरे मिनट के बाद, the people get closer to him to see if he is okay. 1 मिनट के लिए कोई मदद नहीं करता है. I want to show you this video. उसके बाद let's discuss this video. It was a very hard video to watch. Personally, मैंने ये video देखा है काफी बार, but it is still a hard video to watch. 1 whole minute. You know, man is obviously hurt, and people do notice that. They notice, but no one really comes to check if he is okay. Someone does go inside. You notice one person in the video who did not have anyone surrounding, so they go into a store and they call 911. They call the emergency number. They call the police to come. And at the end of the video, you notice that there is a police car that comes, but till then, no one really goes close to help. How does this show bystander effect? Ek side pe, yes, we do help people when they have fallen off their bike. But if there is a severe accident, do we really go to help? This is a very difficult situation. Obviously, it is. Unless we really experience that personally, we can't say if we would. But I want everyone to have this message, this very important message. If something does happen, do try to help someone else. Try to ignore anything. कि कोई और है, नहीं है. There is a bystander. कोई और मदद करेगा. Do not. Try not to. There are the cards are stacked against you. There is a lot of evidence that says that you would not help. But even if you see the situation, do try to help. That was the very important thing that I wanted to leave you with by showing you this video. ये बहुत important चीज है जो we need to discuss. It's a reality. It's a real situation. I will also share the clips video for later if anyone wants to see or if anyone wants to show it to someone else. Right? But ये थोड़ा, yes, being human we should help. Absolutely, I agree with you, Rupali ji, 100%. Being human we should help, but the reality is that we don't always help. That is yes.
Shall I speak?
Yes, please.
मराठीमध्ये बोललं तर चालेल?
चालेल, मला चालेल, बाकींना विचारा.
मला वाटतं सगळ्यांना चालेल. विचारा तुम्ही मराठीत
माझे
विचारा.
विचारायचं नाही, मला माझे 3-4 कार ऍक्सिडेंट झालेत, म्हणजे विथ फॅमिली किंवा असे तसे, पण मला कधीच असा अनुभव नाही आला की कोणी मदत नाही केली. आम्हाला प्रत्येक वेळेला मदत मिळाली आहे व्यवस्थित आणि आम्ही त्यातून ओव्हरकम केलेलं आहे. म्हणजे असं कधीच नाही अनुभव आला. आणि आमच्या समोरही झाले असतील ऍक्सिडेंट तर आम्ही पण प्रत्येक वेळेला जाऊन आवश्यक असेल ती मदत केलेली आहे.
Absolutely. I am very glad to hear that you are safe. कि आप ठीक हो अभी. Even though you have gone through many of these accidents, I'm happy that you are here with us and your family is here with us.
Thank you.
And I am very glad that people have helped you and that you have helped people. That is very important. That really shows humanity.
Thank you.
I'm glad to hear stories like this. Obviously there are so many stories that we hear that we always hear news में थोड़ा negative stories that people don't really help each other, and there is a reality in that. That is for sure. Like this video is a reality. Some people are raped but ignored. Screams are ignored. It is a reality, but there is also the reality that people do help each other, and I'm glad that someone was there around to help you. And if something does happen, I want someone else to be glad that you were there to help them. Do always take that message, right?
Yes, of course.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. But I want to, अभी मेरे पास सिर्फ 4-5 ही चीजें हैं बात करने के लिए, because I want to talk a little bit more about the bystander intervention. कि लोग actually reality में what is the situation, bystander effects के through क्या होता है, how do we notice a difference in this bystander effect, right? So I will show you a chart right now so that it's easy for people to understand. Okay, so bystander intervention decision tree, 5 steps to helping in an emergency. Emergency has happened. First thing, notice the event. If you are distracted in your hurry, you fail to notice. So udhar no help is given, no intervention happens. Because you're in a hurry, you did not notice, oh, something happened. Okay, fine. You go about your day. Second, interpret the event as an emergency. You have to, even if you have noticed it, you need to understand that it's an emergency. You don't know if it's an emergency or not. So in the case of the supermarket, where a parent is abusing their child, not disciplining their child, but you don't know yet if it's an emergency or not, right? You don't know if it's abuse or if it's a discipline. At that point, no intervention is given because you haven't understood it as an emergency that you should help the child. Third is assume responsibility, right? You have to assume responsibility that for someone else, and you have to assume responsibility that you need to help someone else. If there is no responsibility assumed, no help is given. Know the appropriate form of assistance, right? So if you know the right type of help to give, if someone has an accident, you call the ambulance and you call the police. But if someone is hitting a child in the supermarket, you might not know what is the first or the proper way to provide assistance. If you don't have a lack of knowledge, if you have a lack of knowledge, or you don't really know what you should do, people, no help is given. If you do know, then help is given at that point. At this point, help is given. And fifth, implement that decision. This is all the till point number 4. It is knowing and thinking, but in the fifth is you actually implement that, right? The only reasons that at that point you people don't implement their decisions is there is a danger to self. If I try to go someone else, then I might die, or I might get injured, or there might be something that will happen to me. If it's a major accident, you try to pull someone out. That is a thing that people experience. It's not necessary that everyone will always help. If there's a danger to self, or if there's a legal concern, मतलब कभी-कभी क्या होता है, you have hit a person with your car. Maybe, for example, you have hit a person with your car, then there might be a legal concern there. So you notice there is it's a crime. It's a term for a crime called hit and run, where you have hit someone and you don't stay at the scene, you don't help them, but you run away because you're scared that you will be in jail. And embarrassment, right? So the cost of helping other people will be too high, so you won't help them, and so you won't implement the decision, and no help is given. So if there is a decision for the bystander effect, this is a very common thing that is noticed, that we notice constantly. If these steps are followed after an emergency, a person will help. If these steps are not followed, a person will not help. And there are many reasons to not help, but there are also many reasons to help. Major factors for bystander effect are diffusion of responsibility. The more people in the group, the less likely individuals are to act, because they think that the responsibility rests with everyone, all the other bystanders, as opposed to when they are the only one witnessing the situation. So if there are 100 people in a group, 100 people on the street, each person bears 1% of responsibility. If there are 2 people on the street, they will each bear 50%. 100 लोग जा रहे हैं तो ठीक है, like everyone has responsibility to help, but उन्होंने भी मदद नहीं की, so मेरा responsibility कम है उतना. But सिर्फ मैं और कोई और है रास्ते पे and something happens, then it is my responsibility now, because I have to assume that responsibility. No one else is there. I can't push it off to someone else. कोई और मदद कर देगा. And pluralistic ignorance. It is a situation in which a majority of group members privately reject a norm, but incorrectly assume that most others accept it and therefore go along with it. Matlab kya? Example, when a teacher asks a class any question, there will often be a deafening silence, even if nobody understands. Class में any question, teacher पूछती है, किसी को समझा नहीं है. No one has understood, but everyone thinks that someone else has understood. किसी और को समझ में आया होगा, and अगर मैं बोलूंगा तो I will look like this, I will be embarrassed, I will look down, so I won't ask, right? this is a very common factor of the bystander effect. आज की क्लास में भी किसी मैंने पूछा काफी any questions, काफी टाइम के लिए सुना नहीं दिया, तो मैं इसके ये एग्जांपल के बारे में सोच रहा था क्योंकि मैंने प्रेजेंटेशन बनाया था. I was thinking of this example. Wow. But I hope everyone has understood regardless. Now, final thing is pro-social behavior. What can affect it? Media influence affect करता है उसको. Our behaviors, our helping behavior is affected by the media. Listening to music with lyrics that talk about helping other people, increasing kindness. We are all one. Michael, there was a Unity concert. I think what year was it? People who are older than me will know, but there was a Unity concert. This means there was a lot of singers, lot of musicians at the time, actors, celebrities who had come on stage. They were all, the message was very clear that we should all help each other, we should all unite. That kind of music, that kind of event, that kind of thing helps improve and helps people, make people want to do social behavior, pro-social behavior, which can help other people. TV show with positive context increases your pro-social behavior. Lemmings video game. Do we have time? How much time we have? It has been over an hour. Okay, so I wanted to show you this, but it's okay. If you want, you can Google it, Lemmings video game. It also helps pro-social behavior. LEMMINGS video game, for anyone who is just listening in. But this kind of media, some video games, things like that, these media with positive pro-social lyrics makes people want to help other people. And the major thing is we have to increase the likelihood that bystanders will intervene. We understand at this point, obviously, that people might help, people might not help. But what can we do? We have to. What can psychologists do? What can researchers do? What can actual people do? We have to increase the likelihood, increase the possibility that bystanders will intervene. The most important is being aware of the barriers to helping people in an emergency can increase people's chances of overcoming those barriers, right? So what is the barriers? This chart is the barrier. This chart are the 5 barriers: distracted in a hurry, ignorance, diffusion of responsibility, lack of knowledge, danger to self, legal concern, embarrassment. These are the things that stop you from helping someone in an emergency. So how do we overcome this? Right? Being aware of that, aware that, okay, these are situations that happen, these are things that will happen and can happen, will help people's chances of overcoming these difficulties. And people who know about this effect, people who know about the bystander effect, can realize that if they don't act, maybe no one else will. So even coming to this session, now you have known कि okay, this effect exists. कि if there are काफी सारा लोग हैं, तो I might not help. And knowing about this effect also helps people overcome it. I know about that this thing has happened, so okay, I noticed that maybe other people will not help. That means I need to help, right? And how can we increase helping? Increase the likelihood that bystanders will intervene. Enable guilt and concern for self-image. So psychological reason है obviously that you want to be seen in a certain way. So you try to enable guilt, concern, self-image के लिए. And socializing altruism. You try to bring it in a cultural value of people. You try to bring it in value of people that helping others is important. So this is like 3 major ways that we personally can increase helping other people. And increasing volunteerism. Some people say that maybe we can have mandatory voluntary work for everyone. That cultivates a kind of situation where, since you are constantly helping each other, you are more likely to also help someone else if it's an emergency, right? So I want to conclude here. My question to everyone right now is, what is some ways that we can help other people? How can we increase helping? आपके opinion में, how can we increase the chance that someone helps someone else? And how we can implement that in our life, obviously. So if anyone has opinions at this point, anyone has questions at this point, please ask. I want to know your opinion, because I am also learning, right? I am also young. Everyone is still learning in life. हर चीज हम learning के लिए आए हैं. So if someone has something that they can share, please. Yes, we can spread awareness like this, right? We can spread awareness like this. Absolutely. Awareness spread कर सकते हैं हम कि ये situation होती है. In sessions like this, that helps people understand. Definitely. और क्या कर सकते हैं? It's like mandatory volunteer work वो था. But even then, you not just mandatory, but because that again brings about its own issues. कि mandatory work हुआ, like mandatory military service होती है in some countries. That is more of a, you are forced to do it. But you can, if you have children, you can motivate them to, go help other people, try to do certain things. You can motivate them to do volunteer work. That is obviously a major help. A lot of schools also do that. So I remember in my school, I had gone to a trip to an elderly house. I had gone to an orphanage. So there were very small trips that helped create that awareness for us. In my school, I had done that. In Thane, obviously people do that in schools, but if that motivation comes also from the home, that can also create a kind of an effect where in the future they are more likely to help someone else, because they know that doing this good can help someone. If anyone else has any other opinion on this, any other suggestion on how we can help each other, please tell me. Please tell everyone in the group, because everyone will only benefit from this. We can help provide helpline and charts regarding situation too. Yes, absolutely. That bystander effect chart, that can also be something that we can share with people. See, actually, if I can send it here. I don't think I can send the chart here. Yeah, I can't send the chart sadly on chat for some reason. But yeah, so charts like that, things like those kind of things can help raise awareness. Absolutely. If anyone doesn't really have anything else, I am done with my session. I want you to leave thinking about these things. It's not just about the reasons about why we help. Yes.
मी एक प्रसंग सांगू शकते. म्हणजे जो घडला ऍक्च्युअली आमच्या कॉलनीच्या शेजारी अंबिल ओढा म्हणून एक वाहतो. तर एक 2-3 वर्षापूर्वी तिथे पूर आला होता आणि त्या बाजूच्या सगळ्या बंगल्यांमध्ये भरपूर माती, अख्खा एक मजला पाण्याखाली गेला होता वगैरे. बऱ्याच लोकांचं तिथे यावेळेला नुकसान झालं. तर कॉलनीमध्ये आम्ही त्यांना 2-4 दिवस डब्बा वगैरे, भाजी पोळी वगैरे असं प्रोव्हाइड केलं होतं, किंवा जी काय मदत बाबा कोणी कोणाला कपडे धुवून देत होतं मशीन मधनं, कारण बऱ्याच जणांची इलेक्ट्रिसिटी पण गेली होती. तर असं पण म्हणजे मदत केली होती. करू शकतो अशा प्रसंगाच्या वेळेला आपण.
Absolutely. Disaster.
आणि मला वाटतं कोविड मध्ये सुद्धा अनेकांनी अशी एकमेकांना मदत केलेली आहे.
नक्कीच अनेक प्रकाराने करतो ऍक्च्युअली. आपण असं खरं कधी सांगतही नाही आणि लक्षातही येत नाही.
डेफिनेटली. असे especially in disaster situation, अशा सिच्युएशन मध्ये we notice that people really help each other, and thankfully people help each other, because it is a very difficult situation, like experiencing losing everything that you have. जो भी है हम सब, we lose everything. That is a very difficult situation for any person to go through. I'm glad that you helped someone, that your community helped someone, and I hope that other communities and other people also keep trying to follow examples and keep trying to help other people. That is very important. Absolutely. Yes.
What I feel, sometime in this, sometime in this specific situation, our mind says yes, but our heart is no. We should not go ahead and help. Though we know that we should help, but I don't know. But we feel ki, if we are going to help others, may they those people won't like this, or such type situation we are not. Sometimes we are not able to handle. So that's why we get confused whether we should go ahead or we should not. So someone, if surrounded other peoples are there, and suppose if they are also coming ahead, then it's okay. Otherwise, alone we don't go ahead. So this is what I feel. Sometimes this thing happens.
Yes, it is a very real situation. As I said, this is the bystander effect in actual practice. It's not necessary that you don't want to help someone. There are many reasons that you might not be able to help someone, that you don't know if you can help someone, that your brain says yes, you should help someone, but maybe you don't think you can help them. Maybe I am not the right person to help them, someone else can help them. So that becomes a group responsibility rather than taking that responsibility on yourself to help someone. So ये बहुत real situation है. Again, this is a real situation. This is a reality of bystander effect. But
sometimes
obviously,
there may be security threat for ourselves also. For example, वो अभी lift देते हैं ना, so that at that time there may be security threat for yourself also. So we have to think about that also.
Absolutely. So again, in the bystander intervention tree, 1 to 5, number 5 point, number 4 point आपने बताया lack of knowledge, lack of competence. Number 5, implement decision, danger to self, legal concern, and embarrassment. Right? Let me share the thing again so that everyone can see it. So yes, this is pretty common. I understand this. Obviously, these are real concerns, and this is real danger. But if even after all of that, you think that you should provide assistance, there are many steps you can take to have some self-defense, things like that. People are all, not everyone is nice. Again, very real situation. Not everyone is nice. You take someone in your car to take them somewhere else, they can attack. Things like that are real. That happens. But if you if you see that someone is if you really feel that they really need help, there are other ways you can help. That it's not necessary that you have to help them in agar koi raste ke side pe hai, it's not necessary that you have to stop and bring them in your car and take them with you, right? There are other ways you can help. You can call someone, you can call the police, like, hey, there is someone stranded on the road, like, please help them. There are authority figures that you can go to. So that is important. Knowing the appropriate form of assistance. Number 4, knowing appropriate form of assistance is very important. So educating yourself, gathering knowledge, knowing the right people to go to, knowing the right numbers, emergency numbers, non-emergency numbers. You should know these numbers by heart. It should be ready. Knowing this can help. So there is always a way to help someone without hurting yourself. It's just finding that way and trying to overcome. There is a way. There is a way to help someone without hurting yourself. And
thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Any other comments, questions, concerns?
आई थिंक आज का टॉपिक सबको समझ में आया है, और जो ये सोचते मैं हेल्प करने जाऊं नहीं जाऊं, वो शायद आज से हेल्प करने जाएंगे, अवेयरनेस भी बढ़ाने की कोशिश करेंगे। अचल जी, आज का टॉपिक बहुत अलग था और आपने बहुत अच्छे से एक्सप्लेन किया, और मुझे ऐसे लगता है कि ये ऐसा अवेयरनेस बहुत जरूरी है। ऐसे ऑनलाइन सेशंस भी अगर हम स्कूल्स में, कॉर्पोरेट ऑफिसेस में अगर लेंगे तो शायद इससे भी बहुत हेल्प हो सकती है। और जैसे हम लोग कल्चर की बात कर रहे थे कि हर एक जगह का कल्चर अलग होता है, और इंडियन कल्चर ऐसे है कि हेल्प करने जाते हैं हम लोग सबकी, एंड इट्स गुड फॉर अस। तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि ये हम लोग यहाँ रहते हैं, इसलिए हम लोगों को भी ये सीख मिली, ये संस्कार है कि हमें दूसरों की मदद करनी चाहिए, और हम ये बच्चों को भी सिखाते हैं। तो आज मुझे ऐसे लगता है कि सब लोगों ने यही एक बात सीखी है कि हेल्प करनी है, लेकिन हेल्प करने के पहले पूरी जानकारी खुद लेनी है कि कैसे हेल्प करनी है सबको।
Absolutely.
और जी मुझे ऐसे लगता है अभी शायद किसी के कुछ सवाल नहीं हैं,
Yes,
तो
definitely. If there are no questions, I think we can conclude.
या
Yeah, अगर obviously अगर आपको फ्यूचर में कोई क्वेश्चंस आते हैं, this is a constant thing. आप you are trying to educate yourself, you're trying to learn more. अगर फ्यूचर में कोई क्वेश्चन आते हैं, अभी कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं है, but you do some research by yourself, you're like, you know what, I don't know the best way to proceed. You can always try to contact us. It's आप ये सेशंस में आ सकते हो. There are many sessions which are very educational sessions that Chikitsa holds almost every week, multiple sessions a week, every week. And there's always something to learn. If you have questions, you can email us at info@chikitsa.com, obviously. And if there are any specific questions for me, please direct them all to info@chikitsa.com, and they can always forward it to me, and I can answer any questions as. Thank you so much.
यस, थैंक यू।
थैंक यू।
Thank you everyone.
Great session, sir. Thank you. काफी eye opener रहा actually.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
थैंक्स लॉट एवरीवन।
Let's should we end with the prayer?
या
सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
Thank you everyone.
थैंक यू।
Have a good night, and since I am in America, I will have a good day.
या
Have a great day,
गुड
sir.
डे।